Hi there, welcome to Floating in Books. Today's video is going to be my winter book recommendations. Welcome to everybody watching. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be me giving you 10 recommendations if you don't know what to read this winter. So they're going to be mainly cozy reads. I did check what I actually recommended to you last year because I did a video like this last year as well, so I'll make sure to link that in the description box down below. But yeah, we have 10 books to chat about, and some of these are new to me that I haven't read yet. Others I am about to read because I'm in the midst of them, but there's also some books here that I did read sometimes recently that I think are perfect for cold days where it might be snowing or raining a lot and you just want to stay indoors, get cozy with a hot chocolate, and you want to read. So first things first, a book that I have been eyeing up all year is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. The second book in this series has just been released, I believe. So this is a full-on series, but especially this first book, every single time I was in a bookstore, I would be picking it up and I would always be choosing something else over it. And then for my birthday, I actually had a bit of a gift voucher. I think I ended up buying it at the end of summer. I bought a lot of books this summer. And this is just a story that really intrigues me. It's about a story where a young boy happens to be like this promised warrior hero, and then he passes his way and his sister takes his place. That's all I remember from the blurb. Sounds super interesting. It's a little bit more of it's historical fiction with a fantasy element twist. At least that's how I view it. It's definitely something that is listed as a fantasy read. I found it in the fantasy section. Yeah, that's definitely where it came from. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what this does. I'm currently really digging Asian culture inspired fantasy stories. That's sort of like my comfort zone at the minute. There's another book that's in here that I did already read, and there is actually another one on my list that I want to start in 2024, but that's not necessarily going to be like a winter read per se. But this one I just think is going to be a very interesting, comforting story. At least I hope so. And I was just very much looking forward to this. So that's why I'm putting this one on the list for winter 2023-4. These kind of books I love as well. At least I haven't actually read this yet, but it's just interesting. And I think the best time to be reading detective-based stories is the winter time. And if it involves a puzzle that you solve along with the book, even better. So this is Jane Hallett's The Twiford Code. She also did The Appeal, and both of those books have a murder mystery at its heart, and you as a reader are solving the story, are solving the case while you are reading the story. I just really enjoy that premise. I have yet to do it myself, but this was the first one I picked up of the two, even though this is the later book. So when I get around to these, I may actually go for The Appeal first, but this one, I actually like the story a little bit more for. So this is about a children's author who is, I think she goes missing or she's murdered. And then this one guy is trying to figure out what happened to her. So I like this. I just really enjoy the premise. And in terms of a detective story that's just incredibly fun and a cozy read, Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club just keeps going. There is another new book out in this series. I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of book shopping over my Christmas break, and then I might just be picking up the next one in this series because, come on, these are lovely. This is about a group of pensioners, retirees, if you'd like to call them. They're all in their 70s. They have broken knees, bad hips, and they all have their issues. But they, in the first book, start a murder club where they try to solve cold cases because one of them is an ex-police person, and I think, was it a woman or I don't know. I don't remember which of the characters was. And then they sort of keep that thing going because then an actual murder happens and they become part of the process, and it's just incredibly lovely banter. It's about the friendship between these people, but also the way they work together with the actual police who are in this. It's their personal lives that become intertwined with this. We get a whole backstory for some of these characters. This gets a little bit absurd at times. It's not like outstanding literary excellence, but if you want a cozy read and you just want to have fun, then these are definitely fun reads. Then this is the book I'm currently going to be starting myself. I haven't started it yet because I'm currently doing a crochet project for work. We have a Christmas party. When you're watching this, it will be tomorrow. And the theme is royal blue. And with a couple of colleagues, we are going to be crocheting crowns in the company colors for everyone to be wearing to our Christmas party. It's a whole thing. So I don't have time to read. Instead, I'm crocheting crowns. Oh well. But yeah, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers is again a first book. It's not really like a series, but there's a whole series of books by this author that I believe are set in the same universe. This is sci-fi though, but the reason why I wanted to pick it up now is because this just sounds like something that's perfect for right now. This is about a woman who joins a crew of a patched up spaceship, and it's this ragtag kind of crew, and they have to find their way to a small angry planet. It's going to be a long way to a small angry planet. I love it when the title just says what it does on the tin, don't you? It is very small type though, so I'm a bit worried. And it's like just over 400 pages, but I've heard great things about it. When I bought this book, the lady in the bookstore was like, oh, I've reread that 3 times. Let me know what you think of it. So I can't wait to read that. Then, not a cozy read, but if you want to like play into the bleakness of winter, Cormac McCarthy's The Road. This is a bit of an outlier. It's a bit more of a dystopian kind of literary work. I mean, this is not a pleasant read. This is an uncomfortable read. But I like uncomfortable from time to time. This is about a man and his son who is making his way across a desolate place where people have resorted to cannibalism to survive. Like I said, it's not pretty, it's very bleak, and what this man is trying to do is give his son a better future. That's the entire purpose of their story, and the road represents the road they walk on. They're trying to stay safe because people are trying to find other people to eat the entire time. There's a movie of this as well, which I've never seen, but I just thought that this could be a nice winter read for that reason. It's just something to really get stuck into and sink your teeth into, even though it's not a pleasant story to read. Then, remember what I said about detectives being fun in the wintertime? Well, I keep talking about this series. It's now been finished, so there's no better time to get stuck into a detective series than this one. It's set in Edinburgh in the 19th century. We have banter between two male protagonists who love to bite each other's head off. It's very sort of Holmes and Watson inspired kind of banter that we have going on. They're detective trying to solve murder cases where we first think there's something supernatural going on, and then there's always going to be like a scientific explanation using discoveries of the Victorian era. These books are clever, they are historically accurate, it's a lot of fun, it's a clash of cultures because we get Scotland, and it's like Scotland versus England the entire time. But in the end, everybody has to work together. We have a very colorful cast of characters. I did feel that especially the final book was trying to wrap a bow a little bit too nicely around some of the storylines that we get, but you can read these as standalones, but there is an underlying narrative that ties all of the books together as well. Love especially the characters in this story, so if you want to get into cozy detective stories, then I think these can be nice as well. And it doesn't get anything more wintry than a book set in wintertime Alaska, I guess. This is Winter Gifts from Ben Aronovich. This is the latest novella in the Peter Grant series, and the novellas are very often spin-offs, and some of them also use supporting characters from the main novels that we have going on. So this follows a U.S. FBI agent Kim Reynolds, I think her name is, and she gets sucked into this story a little bit more, but this way we get the American perspective of like the police force that deals with all the weird things. In the main story, we get it from like the British perspective. So I thought this was fun. This is just an incredibly fast-paced book. I read it in a day while I was traveling to London. So this is just your quick, easy read if you want to do some reading on Christmas Day as your family is milling about you and you want to do some cooking at the same time. You can still get through it in a day. Very fast-paced, action-packed, and it's set in a winter wonderland with lots of snow. There are people missing limbs though, so if you're a bit squeamish, that may not be the best one. However, if you are a bit squeamish and you just want a cozy read, this one, I just reviewed this for you. It's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and I was saying how I feel this is a book that needed a bit more editing because it touches upon a lot of things, but without it ever really going in depth. However, if you like a cozy process story of like just a group of people who become friends, it doesn't get any cozier than this. Like, I think it's perfect, especially if you just, if you have a bit of time off between Christmas and New Year and you just want to unwind from all of the crazy things we do in an entire year. I think this is one of the best ones I've read in a while. It's not like outstanding literature, but we don't always need that. Sometimes we just want something cozy. And I told you about having really, really fallen in love with like fantasy stories that are set in an Asian setting. I have to mention this. Fonda Lee's Jade City. I cannot wait to get stuck into the second book in the series, which is something I want to do when I finish the sci-fi story I'm currently reading. So I hope to be reading that like closer to Christmas and then get stuck into the second book in this series before the end of the year. That's the plan anyways. I love this. This was amazing. This is about, this series is called the Greenbone Saga. And in this world, it's like this big urban city where crime lords are sort of fighting for power. And these crime lords are Greenbones and they can control Jade. It's sort of like a bit of like Romeo and Juliet, kind of like two factions that are battling it out. It feels very mob inspired. But we get a brilliant cast of characters who are battling with all of these like issues that they have going on, from people lower in the organization, from people all the way to the top of the organization. This is politics, it's clever, it's got really good twists that throw the characters in the story for a loop. And I felt it was a bit slow at first because I really had to get to know the world, and like there's a religion that underlies it all. Like you really need to get to know the characters, but once you do, you can't stop reading. So this I definitely recommend, and it's definitely a chunkier one. So what better time to get stuck into a chunky read than that? And then I think if I were to start this series, it would have to be like December, January, February time. And I may want to pick this up in 2024, finally. It's The Diviners by Libra Bray. And this is a series that nobody talks about anymore, but I definitely bought it because of YouTube. I think it's like YA, but it's set in the 1920s and it has a paranormal element. That's all I know. But because of that like setting, I'm like, that could be like a cozy, like wintry feel kind of read. I'm not sure if I'm completely off the mark here because I've never read it before, but I do own the entire series and it might just be good to finally get started on it. So that could be like something for like the second half of my Christmas break. So the aim is to read that sci-fi novel in the next week, then read the second book in the Greenbow Saga, and then maybe start this or Poppy War. That's sort of what the plan is right now. So those are my 10 winter book recommendations. Thank you so very much for joining me. I will be posting once a week over on this channel, but I may actually be skipping next week because I'm filming a lot of videos for my other channel, which is my main channel. This is the one I kind of do off on the side. However, I will certainly be coming to you with a video where I wrap up 2023, tell you about all my favorite books of the year and all of the stats of what I read in 2023. So I hope you would like to stay tuned for that. I may be skipping next week, but definitely check out the other channel if you are into makeup, because I will be sharing all of my end of year favorites. If there's a video going live here, it will be sort of like the end of year favorites not book related, but all the other things, like some of my favorite TV series and movies that I've watched all year. I think I want to do a video like that. So if there's going to be a video, it's going to be that on this channel. If not, check out the other channel, and then I will be with you again in the new year. Thank you very much for watching today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.